What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about a topic that is probably affecting us all in one way or the other, right? And that's going to be reliability, and that's also going to be quality control. I just want to point this out to you guys. A lot of you guys are driving Ford trucks, General Motor trucks, General Motor vehicles, Chrysler vehicles, right? And then you'll come on here and say, how dare you use that Chinese piece of crap? I just want to let you guys know there's a good chance, a very, very good chance, parts in your vehicle were either made in China or Mexico or assembled in China or Mexico. I just want to put that out there for you guys. Anyways, same thing with Hollison. You guys all are fine with Hollison, but the second I have a Sealy, oh my gosh, get that Chinese piece of crap out there. I have over 30 Sealys, never a single issue. They're affordable, they run, and they have some really, really nice models coming out. Just wanted to point that out there. But before we get started, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe. Today we're going to be going over a little bit of a list. It's more than just these handguns you see in front of me that I had issues with in the last year or so, right? And obviously nowadays I'm shooting a lot more than I used to, and I really test my handguns for the channel and for carry and stuff like that, simply to bring back results for you guys, like what's lasting, what isn't, what issues am I seeing, what issues am I having. I think it's all really good data to collect, especially nowadays with everybody just trying to be about profit and cut as many costs as possible, therefore cutting corners. Let's talk about handguns that have malfunctions, right? And what's also interesting about this is whenever I make a video with a Taurus or even my Diamondback DB9 Gen 4 or my Taurus Spectrum, which Taurus Spectrum was $200. That was made in Miami, Florida. This Taurus G3C made in Bainbridge, Georgia, was $240, and yes, it looks terrible. I've never even carried this, and it looks terrible. And then the Diamondback DB9 Gen 4, I think I paid $240 for it in 9mm, right? How come these three handguns are outlasting majority of the handguns we're about to talk about? How come two Tauruses and a Taurus that everyone makes fun of every time I put it on the channel, even though it's a great shooter, it's an awesome pocket pistol, how come my Tauruses, how come my $240 handguns are outperforming some of these others, guys? It's just a question I always ask myself, because how come you can get the CZP-10M for $299, not a single issue? How about my Smith & Wesson M&P40, $300, not a single issue? What is going on? Well, Glock 29. I think this handgun's good to go, but that one malfunction that you do have always is in the back of your head after. You're like, okay, was that a fluke? Was that part of the conditions we're in? Is it because I didn't clean it? Is it because the feed ramp needs to be polished a little more? You never really know. Well, I was using a Glock 29, this exact handgun right here, with a 15-round mag with an X grip. So that mag is extended, but it can't bounce back and forth because of the X grip. It stays in place generally. Never had a malfunction. That's my woods carry, right? And we got a failure to feed at like 1,200 or 1,300 rounds, whatever it was. We've ran at least like 550, 600 rounds since. Not a single hiccup. It was that weird federal red tip ammo. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but could have been a fluke. Could be an unreliable handgun, but it's not telling me it's an unreliable handgun. But still, the Glock 29, come on. Next up, I just made a video on this, guys. This broke my heart. I just made a video about the Mossberg MC2c. Just made a video saying one of my favorite handguns to carry that I rarely talk about. And of course, I took it out last weekend. Was about to shoot a filming review for you guys, and I was warming up, shooting, getting my dot sighted in because I put a new dot on here. I got the X Pro on here now. And while sighting it in, I have what I thought was a light primer strike. Now I look at the primer and there's not even the slightest dent or mark. Then I shot again, it ran, and then another one. I had like 3 or 4. I'm like, what is going on? And the rounds wouldn't have a dent or anything in them. So I still have yet to investigate it. I haven't had a lot of time, but my first Mossberg MC2c had light primer strikes all the time. That's what the issue. That's the reason I got rid of it. Mossberg fixed it, and it still had issues. This one isn't even like normal light primer strikes. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know if the striker is making it all the way through that channel and not even hitting the round, but it's a major malfunction, a major issue, and I need to get this sent back because that's wild that I've been carrying this. Really let me down. Next up, I don't have it in front of me. It's sent away with Springfield Armory right now, but the XDS M45, 3.3 inch. You guys probably saw some of the videos on it. The guide rod spring broke and locked up the whole handgun. You can't even take it down. I can't even get anything through the little spaces in the frame to lift that spring out of the way so I can remove it. I couldn't get it apart, so I just sent it back in, and they should have it to me within the next week or so. They said 3 to 4 weeks, so good quality, good customer service. And I found out that malfunction was, or that breakage was sort of on my end. The Springfield Armories in 45 have a certain life expectancy on the guide rods I didn't know about. So that one may not have been on quality control, but more of on me. Next one I also don't have in my hands because it was my buddy's. We were just out shooting on some land. Now this one could have been another fluke like the Glock 29, but he was shooting a Sig Sauer X Macro. And he went to recycle his hollow points that were in his mag, right? That he's been carrying for a while. He's like, I just want to recycle them, reload up, and get some new ammo in there, which is a good practice. That's smart, right? Well, he's shooting his mag, and like a couple rounds in, I don't remember what number it was, but failure to feed with a critical, Hornady critical duty, I believe it was. One failure to feed. Now, what makes us both a little nervous about that is it's his carry ammo and his carry firearm, right? And he's had that ammo and those rounds in his handgun this whole time. That's the same thing with his Mossberg. I had the same thing happen. That ammo was in my handgun. Even though I was shooting target ammo, I was carrying this exact handgun. So it's very nerve-wracking. Now, one malfunction out of 1,000 rounds or whatever, typically your handgun's generally reliable at that point. But still, it always plays on the back of your head. Next up is going to be my dumpster fire with the Beretta Pico. The Beretta Pico ran fine. I bought it used, 100 rounds through it. A little over 100 rounds, some hollow points and defensive ammo. Ran fine. Very little recoil. Even though you only get a finger and a half on this thing, it's a blast to shoot. Very little recoil. Well, first, I had a guide rod problem. Something was wrong with the guide rod spring, so I ordered a new one from eBay for $18. Had it up and running. It was running great. And then, of course, the striker breaks. So, once again, rendered useless, and we are sending this one back soon. Normally now I just joke around with this handgun, but I will be sending it away to actually get it fixed. Next up, there's actually 2 things on this handgun that had issues. One, that Romeo Zero, or that Sig Sauer Romeo Zero, the dot just disappeared. Then the next day it'd be back. Then 2 hours later it'd be gone. Whatever it wanted had a mind of its own, right? Luckily, Sig's customer service was solid as can be and sent me a brand new one. So we are going to be running it and keep testing it. So far, so good. Only ran 150 rounds to the Canic Beretta MC9 this last weekend. So not a real test of reliability. But the Canic has been going strong. We're almost over 1,100 rounds with the new guide rod. Originally, we made it to a little over 700 rounds. Failures to feed, failures to eject, a guide rod spring problem. Canic took care of the problem. We have a new guide rod now. Thing runs flawlessly. I actually like it, even though the trigger throws me off sometimes. It's a great trigger, but compared to what I'm used to, that throws me off a little bit. But Canic Beretta MC9, a great handgun, but was just unreliable. Next up, the Glock 28. I put it in my holster because I was carrying my 26, but I needed to bring this downstairs so I could film. It was unreliable. Came unreliable. Actually, Glock gave me a new guide rod. Didn't even use it for a while. I used my own guide rod that I put together. A DPS Systems guide rod, actually, and that ran flawlessly. Then I got my new guide rod from Glock. Once again, runs flawlessly. Keep in mind what a lot of the problems are. The guide rod. Next up, the PSA Dagger. This PSA Dagger actually ran reliably. I like shooting it. I have fun with it. An awesome budget handgun, right? Runs reliable. I haven't had any problems, failures to feed, failures to eject, anything like that. But a broken striker. Like 2 weeks ago, a broken striker. I kid you not. This is just getting out of control. But I love my PSAs. I think PSA is doing a great job. But this just, man, it was like a stab to the heart. I was really rooting for PSA, and I still am. But it was a stab to the heart. But I threw a rival arm skeletonized striker in there. We're going to run that for a while, see how it does. Because this is not a carry firearm or a home defense for me, I'm fine trying new strikers and stuff like that. But I know the rival arms one is reinforced and like actually a better material to use for a striker. Anyways, another stab to the heart, guys. The SCT-43, I talked so highly about it. And then I started getting the dead trigger problem. Now, the second I swapped out to all Glock OEM internals, runs flawlessly. When you get this, read the description. It says some parts are OEM, some are not. Get rid of them all, put all OEM parts in, and you will have an amazing feeling Glock 43X in your hand. Just amazing. It feels so good in the hand. It shoots so well, so smooth. But right out of the package, it will be unreliable. So what is going on here? What is up with all these unreliable handguns We're talking new releases in Sigs and Canic Meta MC9 new releases, the FN Reflex new releases, the Mossberg MC2c. What is going on? At the end of the day, it all chalks down to materials being more expensive, companies cutting corners in order to make up for them being more expensive. Also, all these new rules that if you hire certain people, genders, races, whatever the case may be, you get tax cuts and stuff like that. That plays a role too, because you're no longer hiring the best qualified, the most skilled. And these defend people's lives. These protect our children. So when you're throwing people like that on our handguns and building them, that is a problem just to make money. So you have to put a lot of the blame on the companies themselves. PSA and stuff like that, they're producing handguns at such a fast rate because of how fast they're selling them. But on top of that, their budget, that's sort of a recipe for disaster. Even though I love PSA, don't get me wrong. I love PSA. I'm praying that was just a fluke with that striker, but I don't like that. It just doesn't sit right with me. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know. Have you guys been having problems too? Thanks for watching.